Yo, hello everybody. Today we're going to get right into it. League starts almost here. It's time to get down to work. How do you level Spellslinger and become the ED Contagion Soulrend Spellslinger God of your dreams? Well, if you're starting with which is what I'm going to be doing, we're going to come right out of here right away. I like to grab Stormblast Mines, Orb of Storms, level with that for a little while. Frostbomb, the typical Elite Racer start, or whatever you want to call it. But I really like this Dark Arts wheel. This 15 cooldown recovery speed of movement skills, your Flame Dash is going to be up. Your Smoke Mine is going to be up much, much faster, and that is very fun. If you're going to start with Trickster, starting with Trickster for this is just as good as Occultist. I just did Trickster ED Contagion last league. I want to do Occultist this time. It's very simple. Later on in the tree, you'll kind of see the gist of what's going on with this Occultist tree. And I do come right over here with the Occultist anyway, so you pretty much are going to be grabbing all of the nodes. Nothing is really changing from Trickster. You just won't be coming out of the Witch tree, of course. But a lot of the nodes are going to be the same. The tree will just look a little bit different on Trickster. But for Witch, we come out of here. I like to have this. I'm pretty sure you can get this right before Merveil. Hopefully you get your Smoke Mine there as well. Flame Dash, Smoke Mine. Even if you're using just Flame Dash, this is still pretty nice. But with Smoke Mine and Flame Dash, it speeds leveling up a lot. And you can respec with all those free respec points anyway. I'll also grab Elemental Overload because we will be sticking with whatever you choose to level with. You can, if you want, grab Essence Drain and do Essence Drain Contagion. Level that right up until you get Spellslinger supports and do that if you'd like. I just find the Stormblast Mine, Orb of Storm stuff a little bit faster for my taste at the start. So we grab LE Overload, we grab this. Now, next, we're going to come up here, get life. We're going to be down here as well. We're going to grab life as well. This is going to be about Act 2-ish. Once we hit Act 3, we're going to grab some more life here, and we're going to start to grab some chaos damage nodes up there. Because you can switch to Spellslinger in Act 3. After about Gravitius, you can choose to get Soulrend as a quest reward from Gravitius. You can also choose to get a Spellslinger as a quest reward as well. And now you can buy Spellslinger. For one alteration, you're going to need 3 of them, and you have to buy a few other supports, Control Destruction, namely for your damage links. So you need about 4 to 5 alterations to begin with this. Now, up to this point, if I'm lucky, I can have a Wandcraft in Act 1. If I don't, I'm going to really try to get those Wandcrafts down. Now, if you don't know what the Wandcraft is for elemental damage, it's very, very good. It's very helpful. I'll try to, even if I'm kind of low on alterations, I'll try to be crafting those because it will speed up the leveling and the bossing of this before I'm able to go Spellslinger a lot. And that's kind of like the tricky game with Spellslinger. It takes a lot of alterations to get set up, but it really is worth it to get those Wandcrafts. Now, the Wandcraft is a magic wand, a sapphire ring, topaz, ruby. Normally, I'll do sapphire. The cold damage is very nice, and you want extra cold damage to chill, freeze, and whatnot. Get those shatters, get whatever you'd like. If you have topaz, that's fine as well. You know, just a sapphire, just a topaz. But magic wand, a sapphire ring, and 1 alteration. You vendor those, and in the vendor window, you should see a wand that adds flat damage to your spells. If you can get that in Act 1, that's really good. You do that as fast as you can. You just have to make sure you have a magic wand. Now, there's a rare recipe as well that you could do with a rare wand, but I generally will be switching to Spellslinger before I really get that or would get too much use out of it. So right about here, maybe you have enough alterations, maybe you don't, But in this next tier of the tree, you should be Spellslinger at this point. Now you unspec out of Elemental Overload. You're going to keep this Dark Arts wheel for as long as you're dual wield, as long as you not like all that move speed recovery. And we're going to come up here, get more life, of course, get this nice atrophy wheel, all the chaos damage and damage over time multiplier. Very good. Come down, get life, get more life, and some damage and area of effect. You should be Spellslinger here. Now, for the Spellslinger links, the very first and I think most important one is to get Spellslinger when you can on GMP. Even if it's just Soulrend, Spellslinger, GMP. Getting this Soulrend and Spellslinger on GMP is going to have so many of those little Soulrends going through. This is going to be your main source of clear while leveling. Essence Drain, this is completely fine on a 2-link. Same with Contagion. You don't need increased area of effect. It's just pretty nice. Now, I also like to have Bane and Despair. Now, if I have the links for it, I'll come up here and I'll grab an extra curse while I'm leveling. This is just nice to have for temp chains, because temp chains is going to cause other effects on cursed enemies to expire 40% slower. This is including your dot damage. Your dot damage is going to last and affect the enemies 40% longer, because it's becoming 40% slower to go away on them. Now with Soulrend, if we go to Soulrend, this has a very high dot damage on it, but the skill duration is only 0.6 seconds. This is a high dot damage, but it lasts a very low amount of time. So getting temp chains on something makes this last a lot longer. It's very, very good. Same with your Essence Drain damage. Same even with your Bane damage. Getting the temp chains on there is the second highest damage support you could have for Bane. Obviously, Despair is going to be number 1. So, again, just make sure you have GMP on your Soulrend. Remember, the skill duration is very important, so our number 1 damage setup after GMP is going to be efficacy. More spell damage scales it, more damage over time scales it, and we get 16% more skill effect duration. If we go over here, it now lasts 0.7 seconds. That might not seem like a big deal, but that is a lot of damage, alongside all of the other more multipliers. So we're level 50-ish. We've got a few chaos wheels. We've got some life over here. Now, after this, we're going to be looking at starting maps soon. We're finishing the axe. We're getting the passive skill points. Maybe you found a 3-link. You get efficacy on your ED. 4-link. You get controlled destruction on your Essence Drain. Our Contagion, hopefully you found a 3-link for it. You get increased area of effect for it, because with Contagion here, you want the area of effect to be as big as possible on this. It's 23 radius right now, because this is what's going to spread your Essence Drain. It can only spread as large as the Contagion circle is. So when we go over here, we put our increased damage, link it to it, and now it's a 27 radius, which is a lot larger. It's going to infect a lot more monsters, which is very, very good. So our Soulrend is in a 4-link. Essence Drain is in a 4-link. Contagion, 3-link. Bane, hopefully a 3-link. If you're a trickster or if you don't want the extra curse, even the 2-link is more than fine. Now, I did not talk about this yet because it depends on whether you're trickster or occultist. I suppose with trickster you'd still want maybe a little bit of curse on hit here, but I like to do frenzy, getting frenzy charges of course for my wand attack. GMP, you can do curse on hit with despair, but even if you don't have that, you could just have a 1-link frenzy. That's perfectly fine. You'll get a lot of frenzy charges off of that. Now frenzy As a witch, we don't get Frenzy until Act 6. Same with the efficacy support. We don't get that until we do that little coast quest and get all the gems we could ever want in Act 6. Now, before getting Frenzy in Act 6, I'll just do a default wand attack. For me, that is plenty fine. You can, if you'd like, buy a kinetic blast or a power siphon. Power siphon isn't bad because it does have culling strike, which would be nice on bosses. That's a pretty nice pickup. But other than that, if you don't have any extra transmutes or alterations to buy any cool wand attacks once you get all of your Spellslinger setups, even just your default wand attack, it's perfectly fine enough. But once we get everything online, you'll probably have some 4 links. You'll probably be all set up, hopefully, once you hit maps, with a few links. I'll do Frenzy, GMP, Curse on Hit, Despair. We are occultist, remember. Now, for the lab, since I am occultist, I'm going to grab this one first, Void Beacon. Minus 20 Chaos Res is very nice. For our second choice, I come to Withering Presence. That's a lot of chaos resistance and damage, and you're inflicting Withered on every nearby enemy every second, which is very nice. Withered is going to make enemies take 6% increased chaos damage, stacking up to 15 times. That's crazy. That's a lot of chaos damage. Now, for Merc Lab, this is about when I'll have my 4-link Frenzy set up with a Curse on Hit. So at this point, I'll grab Profane Bloom. Now for Uber Lab, I'll most likely come over to Vile Bastion here. Can't be stunned while you have ES, and you regen a lot of energy shield when you're killing things. This is very, very nice. If not, this additional curse is very nice, and curse effect. It would save a few points, or you'll be able to put a Bane in a 4-link, maybe sacrifice something somewhere else to achieve that, and you could put some maybe more defensive curse in there, like Enfeeble, if you'd like, if your damage is fine. But I like to get this. Not being stunned is very nice, especially when you're trying to clear maps extremely fast. Now, if you were Trickster, you see at this point, we're pretty in the Trickster tree, right? We grabbed a bunch of Trickster nodes over here, all this life and stuff. If you were Trickster, you just come out of here, get the chaos damage, and kind of follow the tree where you can. You just get life here, come over here, more life, and about at that point, you'll probably want to grab some damage nodes soon because you will be transitioning into Spellslinger. And it's pretty much the same past this. You come over here, get all of this. You can take a little different pathing here, but coming this way is nice. You get the hybrid nodes. You get these here. You could come from above, but I like to come down here and get these hybrid nodes right away. This area of effect is also pretty nice. It's like spell damage, area of effect. The trees can be practically the same. And for Trickster, your very first lab should be Patient Reaper. This is so good, recovering life and ES on kill, and a lot of damage over time. What's there not to love there? You grab Ghost Dance for Crew Lab, and Escape Artist for Merc Lab, getting this sick damage for Uber Lab when you're going to need a lot more damage. Now, the thing with Spellslinger is we have our helmet filled out, we have our body armor filled out, our weapon, and our shield. Our gloves are going to have Flame Dash and Arcane Surge at level 1, getting 10 more spell damage and a little mana regen. And cast when damage taken, Immortal Call. You know, whatever you want here. You can have Steel Skin, or you can just have your own self-activated. I just like cast when damage taken. I'm lazy. I just want to press one button, which is why I'm playing Spellslinger. And here we have our Frenzy setup. In our, I believe, the boots. The boots are open. So the problem with Spellslinger is all of our slots are taken up, and we don't have a Blight setup. We don't even have Evolved Blight. We have no room anywhere unless we get an Unset Ring. This is where you can take a cast and damage taken off, and get just a Vol Blight on there. Maybe you could take your Bane off, but this is a lot of nice extra damage here. This is why the Spellslinger is probably going to be falling off pretty hard once we hit red maps. We just don't have a Blight set up, which means we aren't going to be able to wither very quickly right away. A cultist does get the wither, but it's one wither every second. We'd like to have like wither, 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 wither for a second, you know, getting all of those wither stacks super fast on the mob. And that's why a blight, multiple totem, spell totem, faster casting. If you want, this can be, you know, some sort of damage setup here. I like the faster casting because it's getting all the wither stacks on there much faster. Now, when we do this Vol Blight with faster casting, we're getting almost 4 casts per second. So each of these totems is going to ramp up those wither stacks very quickly. It should be only 1 or 2 seconds to get to the max wither stacks. And after that, it's a lot of extra damage from all of your dots, ED, Soulrend, Contagion, and the Bane dot. Because Bane does get 49% more damage per curse applied. So these are practically damage links as well as curses, making everything else also damage a lot more. But we can't do that because we're Spellslinger. It's very unfortunate, which is why the Spellslinger is going to have to eventually become 2 buttons. Yes, you're going to have to press 2 buttons, and that kind of sucks. At this point, you're probably in red maps. You probably, hopefully, have enough money to get a Chevron's. This doesn't need to be linked very, very well. Even just having a 4 link for your Blight setup is perfectly fine. This is a self-cast Blight, assuming you can do that. Otherwise, you just do the multiple totems, spell totem setup. Just like last league, you're going to want to eventually get a +1 of socketed gems, and getting 31 damage over time multiplier on here is also very nice. We do this bow because we want our essence drain to be as high level as possible. +1 level of socketed gems and +2 level of support gems is how we get our essence drain to become level 29. You can't get this to, I believe, 30. You can get +1 on a few other pieces of gear. But level 29 essence drain is a lot of damage because our empower is getting +1 from the bow and +2 from the supports. So we have a level 4 empower, it becomes level 7. Even a level 3 empower. If you've spent all your money getting a shavs and the bow, even a level 3 empower is very nice. It becomes level 6, which gives our ED 5 levels. The bow is also gaining a few levels. You know, whatever, you don't have a level 20 essence drain, we're still doing a lot of damage. This is more to show off what you can do once you've kind of stacked up some money, completing your atlas. There's 150 maps. You're going to be doing a lot of maps. You're going to be getting a lot of money. Don't waste it because you will need it to buy an endgame essence drain setup, being a bow and chevrons, most importantly. Some cluster jewels that are cool are going to be for me, I kind of like this, inflicting wither on hit. This is nice for essence drain, and possibly even when you're doing the Spellslinger support, if you can get one of these. Withering on your hit is very nice, because on Spellslinger, you're not going to have too many sources of withering with all of your spell slots being taken up. I also like to grab this because I'm a cultist and I don't have Patient Reaper. 1 life and ES on kill, you're killing a lot, you're getting a lot back. Now, I grab these because we are energy shield at this point. We are, of course, chevrons, we're low life, we grab Pain Attunement for 30% more damage. Look at this, 800,000 dot DPS. We go up to over 1 million just because we're low life. That's why we go low life. You can't really do low life Spellslinger. Remember how many extra things we had open on our gear? We had like no extra sockets. we're not going to have any extra sockets to go low life on Spellslinger unless we give up something like Soulrend. Now, at that point, you are having a Spellslinger support for your Essence Drain and Contagion. It's kind of taking up a socket so that you can only press one button. Maybe if you really like the playstyle or have like Carpal Tunnel or something, that could be worth it. At that point, though, you should probably just go self-cast Essence Drain Contagion. You're taking up a lot of sockets just so you can be Spellslinger. But the low-life Spellslinger, it doesn't look like it's going to work very well. You have to grab a lot of mana reservation nodes to be able to have something on Blood Magic and to be able to run a Discipline in your mana setup alongside any Spellslinger supports. It's very, very awkward, and it's not looking very good. Now for this bow, like getting a very good bow, it costs a few exalts because you have to get a 6-link base, which isn't too much. A 6-link base is probably going to be 40 to 50 chaos, depending on how much things like Porcupine cards are, or Imperial Legacy. Whatever 6-link bow cards you can get, I would pick up. The thing that you want to keep an eye out for, though, is getting a low dexterity requirement base. We have a lot of blue here, right? Excuse this Spellslinger. 3 blue and a red. We need 4 off colors on our bow. That's kind of tricky. So you have to get a low dex because the dex requirement is what makes rolling green much more frequent. Higher dex means more frequent greens. That's why rolling an ES base item that has a high int requirement, like a Vol Regalia, is very hard if you want green or red sockets on it. So this is why you grab something like a Thicket Bow. It kind of has a high dex. You kind of just have to look at the cards, see what they give. Maybe you can find a cheap one on the market as well. Take a little time. It's going to save you a lot of chromes. But with this, you're going to Alteration spam for damage over time multiplier. You're going to Regal when you get the damage over time multiplier. You know, you can have something else on there. You just want the damage over time multiplier. You Regal that, and you need to, when it's rare, annul down to only damage over time multiplier. Then you're going to craft cannot roll attack modifiers. You might need a crafter to help you out with this. On the forums, there are a bunch of threads. You have to be a little careful, though. Just try to make sure that you don't get scammed. But a lot of those vouch threads have a lot of people who have been using their service for a while. They might charge a fee, but it's going to be worth it to get this bow. You have damage over time multiplier. You craft cannot roll attack modifiers, and you're able to slam an Exalt Orb on there, guaranteeing +1 level of socketed gems. Now, at this point, you want to can have up to 3 crafted modifiers, so you're going to craft that on there, overriding the cannot roll attack modifiers. You roll over that with can have up to 3 crafted modifiers. Then you craft +2 supports and plus chaos damage over time multiplier, and now you have an insane bow that you can also later slam with a Crusader or whatever Exalt Orb that you would like. You get Soul Strike. This is going to have faster start of energy shield recharge. It's very nice. Gives some 100 max energy shield. This with Wicked Ward makes our energy shield recharge very, very fast when we're not taking damage. So this means that you take some damage and it's only going to take, the recharge delay is only 1 second. So 1 Mississippi, and now you're recharging your energy shield again instead of waiting for a long time. This is nice. Void Gaze is a kind of like wave, a little cone in front of you. Gives -20 chaos resistance. It's on a 2-second cooldown and lasts 10 seconds anytime you use a skill. It's like an extra kind of despair-ish curse. Shavs, we already know that. You just get energy shield wherever you can on your gear. This is a really neat amulet. The main thing here is getting +1 level of chaos skill gems, and whatever else you can pick up on here. Getting some energy shield. Getting energy shield and resistances wherever you can. Same on the belt. And for your flask, the classic, getting a Witchfire Brew. We've went over the cluster jewels here. You want an energy from within for this little hybrid node here. Of course, turning all of these into energy shield. Increases and reductions to life. Transform to energy shield. So these become very juicy energy shield nodes. Getting a spreading rot here so that our blight setup can wither. So blight inflicts withered for 2 seconds. If you don't like that, then in your blight setup, just go ahead and make this withered, and you can have the spell totem, multiple totems, and have them be withered totems if you'd like. I like blight though. It does a little extra damage, and that's always nice. But this is what an endgame kind of Essence Drain character is going to look like. There are some other pieces that you can get. Maybe there'll be some cool new things to do with war cries or something along those lines. But keep an eye out for my stream. Kind of tune in, see how Spellslinger's going, see what I'm doing, and eventually see when I have to transition because of the single target damage, so you can kind of get an idea of when you will have to as well. Keep in mind though, while it might only take me a few days to transition off of Spellslinger, that's because I am a degenerate low life playing this game a lot and hitting red maps probably within the first few days, maybe a little too quick. This probably won't happen for you. Most of you aren't playing, 12 hours a day or whatever. You have things to do. So your Spellslinger should carry you for a very long time, all the way up until at least low to mid red maps. At that point, hopefully you've saved enough currency to kind of buy at least a Chevrons, at least a Thicket Bow. Because you're low life, we get Malevolence on Blood Magic, and we get Zealotry. You can have Clarity if you'd like, but these are the two big auras that we're going to use, alongside, of course, a Discipline. If we don't have Discipline, we get less ES. It gives us 1k ES. Malevolence is just damage over time. Zealotry is spell damage, and maybe some Consecrated Ground. But that's what we do to go low life. Low life gives us a lot of damage, and we get to have a real cool bow and cool quiver. Anyway, hopefully this helps you kind of visualize what you need to do with Spellslinger, how to level it, and when you're going to eventually have to swap off of it in the endgame. Anyways, thank you for watching, thanks for subbing, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.